When the rocks are rolling from the mountains, they could actually create natural fire. Instead of the fire that is actually created by the people.
It's about 9,500 hectares that was destroyed.
This used to be our fantastic home. It was like a lodge. We spent 20 years getting it to perfection. We lived in this fantastic spot, and I reckon it must have burnt out within 5 minutes.
I'm not going to give you confirmed figures. We're around 400 homes.
Now, over a long period of time, we might find that these extreme events actually get bigger and they get more frequent.
And that house on the hill there, that house, when I arrived, I mean, it took minutes. God.
It's unbelievable. Couldn't believe what is happening, you know. So many houses, so many people have been burnt and have been, their futures lost.
And that could be an indication of the landscape being affected by global warming.
Heartbreaking what we have seen. This disaster is really something that we didn't expect to be of this magnitude.
I don't think we were caught unaware. In fact, we were very proactive. And if you go back and look at our statements over the weekend before the storm, we were warning people about a big storm coming, the biggest in 30 years.
In the case of Knysna, for example, the warning was given 5 days beforehand. So basically the public would have traced from that point of view that they shouldn't start fire on those days, especially on Tuesday and Wednesday, including on Thursday. Those were the high-risk days when fire could actually spread.
I've come across a hotel boutique owner who lost everything. His place has been gutted down completely. The whole row of street where this property is has been gutted by these fires, and odd enough, they live behind a mountain, so that fire came from the mountain, and they said regardless of anything, they wouldn't have been able, you know, to miss it. They wouldn't have been able to save their properties.
Fire started at this building at about 6 o'clock on Wednesday night, and it started from the back and then it worked its way forward, burning the roof first. Monetary wise, I do not know. It is a lot of furniture inside the building apart from the external damage. A lot of furniture, of course, the stuff that was inherited. There was a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, a collector's item that was on display at all times, that is completely burnt. grandmother's piano, for instance. So in terms of that, that's a huge loss. All my trophies that I built up over the years, all my certificates, my wife's certificates. She's a co-owner of the establishment, Dr. Maureen Barnard. And so yes, that is where the greatest damage lies. Everybody was evacuated by the police. We've got like 5 people working here. They are 100% safe. They are actually at the moment assisting with temporary cleaning up procedures. But in terms of their losses, where they stay, the one lady's house was completely blown away. And but for the moment they are okay. They are still employed, and they will they'll continue with their jobs.
Speaking on not being able to save their properties, his neighbor was able to act bravely against the word of, firefighters and police around the area who escorted the people out. He came back and said he will try whatever he can. He used the pressure pipe of his neighbor to cool down his roof and to, weigh off whatever debris that falls onto his roof, and he was able to save all of his property in that regard. It's a very big comparison between the two. The one house is perfectly fine and the other is gutted.
I saw my neighbor's Cor Barnard's house burning with a fire, which I never expected because I thought we were safe. And when his house went burning, I knew that ours would be next, because as the wind blew, all the embers of the fire will be blown onto my house and repeat the procedure that happened that set his house on fire. I didn't know really what to do. My wife was literally hysterical, and I just left the car and came to the Barnard house and saw the fire protection, the hoses that he's placed there a year or two ago. And I took one of them and opened the water and just ran and clambered upstairs to get to my side of the roof, and on the way to fight these fire as well, which was totally pathetic because it didn't work. The flames were far too great, but I just then thought of cooling down my house so that it wouldn't start, and that's all I did. And I heard the windows exploding and glass flying and falling all around me, but somehow I was so involved in just spraying the house that I didn't take any real notice of it. And I did that for about half an hour to an hour. It's really sad. I don't know whether we as citizens really grasp up till now what has really happened, but it is slowly settling in. But we'll survive. We'll come over it. But it's unbelievable. Couldn't believe what is happening. So many houses, so many people have been burnt and have been their futures lost. It's overwhelming.
And that house on the hill there, that house, when I arrived, I mean, it took minutes. Gone.
This used to be our fantastic home. It was like a lodge. We spent 20 years getting it to perfection. We lived in this fantastic spot, and I reckon it must have burnt out within 5 minutes.
Some residents here in White Location still left stranded and trying to put together pieces of their lives.
It's mostly household things, computers and so on, and cell phone, you see, yeah, and clothing and so on, yeah.
I lost all goods in my house, my furniture, my TV, all is destroyed. But fortunately, my documents, I have them with me. My ID and other certificates, I have them in my pockets. My clothes are all destroyed except for what I'm wearing at the moment.
They came to pick us up. We had to leave everything because our house was burning. I had to leave everything just like that. I had to take a few items of clothes that I could wear at that moment. My husband and I.
We've been living on the farm for 44 years. When we saw the fire, we started to move. I then went to go check on my mother's house, and when I came back, the fire was close to my house. We were then told to move. I don't know if my house is still standing.
We've assembled about 450 firefighters on this particular fire, and also the South African National Defence Force has brought in 3 helicopters. They've also brought in army medics and personnel to help in this particular operation. This has certainly been one of the biggest local firefighting operations. The extent and scope of the fire is massive. The municipality confirms that we have over 400 structures that have been confirmed that have been either destroyed or damaged. We lost about 10,000 hectares in this particular fire alone. And what made this fire, I think, a little bit unique is that it was not concentrated in one particular area. The coastal area was severely affected. Properties in the suburb of Knysna, but also in our local townships. So it had a multiple impact on the community of Knysna. We have a very proud record about our safety standards and what we try and do in terms of our training and also our morning briefings, our ongoing engagement, what our teams is about putting safety on the fire line first. So I think the firefighters obviously understand the inherent danger about going into an uncontrolled wildfire. But I think from our perspective, because of that safety that they have consciously on their mind, I think it's important for them. They are able to cope, I think. It's not good to know that a fellow firefighter has lost his or her life, but I think the important thing is to keep focusing on our safety.
Also a factor that spreads the fire out. We have a guest with us who is a firefighter. Good morning to you. Why are we here? Why are we camping out here? And what is the current update on any fires in the area?
We came all out to put out the fire. This fire was absolutely uncontrollable. We are from George, together with working with fire. This fire is really uncontrollable.
There has been a firefighter who unfortunately lost his life while trying to battle these fires, and you guys are at the forefront of it. How is that to you, seeing Guti, there are colleagues of yours that are passing it when Guti, they have such bravery?
Having lost our colleague is very painful. This fire is very dangerous, and we are warning any other individuals out there to be very cautious about the fire.
Number of shelters are growing in the area because of the number of people that are affected are also growing.
It's Yusuf Abramji from Operation South Africa from Johannesburg, and I'm joined by volunteers from the Al Imdad Foundation, Kari Diat Patel. It's important for South Africans to rally together and to make a difference. You can see the devastation, widespread destruction. Hundreds of people have been left homeless. People are in need of food. People don't have shelter. And that is why it's important for South Africans to rally together. And on behalf of Operation SA and the Al Imdad Foundation, we thank the people of South Africa. Within a matter of 24 hours, we raised already about 750,000 Rand. We are continuing with the pledges and the donations over the next few days. We're also taking some of the relief to the areas around Cape Town hit by the storm. And as you can see, people are in desperate need.
What we feel is the supermarket, that we feel that there's a need for people who are abandoned by the fire, and that we do a soup for everybody who in need of something to eat. And that's why we feel as a supermarket that we can do that at least for a community. It was so divided before that we could help. And this disaster helped us to see that the community that were divided come together as one. And that's how everyday living must be.
We came because we heard there was a need, so we assembled teams from Pastor Ad and Pastor Nereda sent us to Knysna to come and help. So we are here with delegated authority to come and lend a hand there where they need us, and yeah, that is why we are here.
It is a huge risk knowing that there are people in shelters, people that have evacuated their homes in order to be away from the fire. It is a huge risk when it comes to criminalities, because that is where the criminals come in to come and steal and loot their belongings. But I'm sure after we've spoken to law enforcement agencies, we will find out exactly how many of these criminalities have been reported.
It is terrible, difficult to explain, because while we're trying to assist, donations are coming. There are also elements that in fact are working against. Some trucks, I'm told just now, that a truck has been hijacked and diverted to another area that was coming to the area. It's just unfortunately. But donations are coming thick and fast, and we appreciate what the community, not only of Knysna, all South Africa is doing in terms of contributing to the families that are affected by the fire.
heartbreaking what we have seen. This disaster is really something that we didn't expect to be of this magnitude. And as we arrived here today, looking at the area from the air, you can see the area is still smoldering, a lot of small fires still burning, and it's something that we have to deal with urgency.
A major challenge to bear in mind is climate change and the effect it's having across the globe everywhere. So you see that climate change is changing weather patterns. Places that might have had little rain is getting more rain. Places that used to get a lot of rain is getting less rain. So you see the Western Cape and big areas being hit by droughts, for example. Other areas getting more water than they used to. So weather climate change is having a big effect.
Indeed, according to the climatic studies, there's quite a lot of evidence that show that the number of severe weather are actually increasing. And for that reason, we have to expect more and more of severe weather, more severe weather to actually affect us.
I think it's difficult to link this particular wildfire to aspects of global warming because, of course, here we're only dealing with one relatively extreme event. What we really have to do in order to make that link is to look at multiple events taking place over a pretty long time period. Now, unfortunately, this wildfire outbreak has been sort of coincidental in time with the big storm that we had in the Western Cape as well. So here we've got, unfortunately, two very big events which are completely different in origin, happening at pretty much the same time. So unfortunately, we've had to deal with that situation nationally.
May all of your trials be as swift